Hi, I'm Don Majeske.
And I'm Isla Majeske.
And we've noticed that down through our lives, there's always seemed to be a song associated with what we were doing at the time. We met for the first time as freshmen in college. They had what they call a newcomer's week, where we actually went down a week before classes started so that we could get acquainted with other freshmen. And during that time, they had a dance, and that's where we met, was at the dance. And just as a side, we've been dancing ever since. During those college years, our song seemed to be, give me a little kiss, will ya, huh? What are you gonna miss, will ya, huh? Gosh, oh gee, oh why do you refuse? I can't see just what you got to lose. Oh, give me a little squeeze, will ya, huh? And I'll give it right back to you. During those college years, we spent a lot of time, we saw a lot of each other. And when graduation was approaching, it was pretty serious, and we could see wedding bells in the future. But right about that time, I got a letter from Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam said, I want you. And when Uncle Sam says, I want you, you went. That was the time of the Korean War. So we got together and decided that we'd have to postpone our wedding plans. And we made the agreement that the first time I could get a furlough from the service, we would get married. So off I went to the Army. We'd both graduated, had our degrees. I learned fun things like how to fire a bazooka, how to throw a hand grenade. And then the first furlough came up. I came back to Michigan, and Isla had done a great job planning. We had a wedding with her at her church with her minister, and then she had planned a great reception where she rented a hall. She had a band. They had a midnight sit-down dinner, and we pretty much danced the night through. 2 days later, we headed off on our honeymoon. We went to Niagara Falls, which I guess is sort of custom. And then we went on to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, where I was stationed. We quickly learned our first adult lesson is that you have to pay the bills. My Army pay was $68 a month. Our rent was $79 a month, and the two didn't match. Fortunately, Isla had gotten her degree in medical technology. And where our apartment was, 1 block away was a hospital, and they just so happened to need someone in the lab. So she became our main means of support. The Army time was quickly passing by, and we headed back to Michigan. Now, armed with our degrees and being adults, we had to make some plans of what we wanted to do the rest of our life. At that time, everyone was saying, go west, young man, go west. Well, I applied at the University of California in Berkeley and managed to get an offer from them. So at that time, our song seemed to be, what?
California,
here I come, right back where we started from. Open up them golden gates, California, here we come. So, to head west, we bought a 1954 Chevrolet and piled everything we owned in the back seat, and off we went to California. In California, where our apartment was, again, fortunately, there was a hospital 1 block away, and they needed a medical technologist. So again, Iowa was employed. It wasn't very long in California when we decided it wasn't a whole lot like Michigan. I mean, Grandma wasn't there, Grandpa wasn't there, aunts, uncles weren't there, all of our college friends, none of them were there. Well, I guess as time sort of went by, maybe we were getting homesick. And during that period, our song seemed to be, I want to go back to Michigan, to dear Ann Arbor town, back to Joe's in the Orient, back to some of the money I spent. I want to go back to Michigan, to dear Ann Arbor town. I want to go back, I gotta go back to Michigan. Oh, Mother and Father paid all the bills and we had all the fun in the friendly rivalry of college life. Hooray! I have to figure a heck of a lot to see what we have done with the coin we blew at dear old Michigan. Well, we arrived back in Ann Arbor, and we were driving up Main Street, and we could hear some music, and we could hear some people singing, and they were singing our song for that period. Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. We found a nice little apartment. I applied at the University of Michigan and got accepted with a nice offer. Isla applied at the University Hospital as a medical technologist and got a nice offer. And so now we were people making two incomes and decided we would have a house built in northeast Ann Arbor. Well, while they were building that house, a strange thing happened. The stork made a visit and dropped off a baby girl. And at that period of time, I think our song was, Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop, when the wind blows the cradle will rock. Well, by the time the house was finished and we had moved in, the stork had been there 2 more times. Then our life really seemed to pick up. We had Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, piano lessons, violin lessons, soccer games, soccer practice. And also during that time, we kept ourselves busy when we could with 100 or so Michigan football games, 100 or so Michigan basketball games, and 6 Rose Bowl trips with Bo Schembechler and Bob Ufer. We were surprised how quickly time for retirement came. And during retirement, we became snowbirds. We had 25 years, 25 winters in Florida, the rest of the year in Michigan. About this time, we heard about Glacier Hills. So we went out and had a chat with them, and they explained the setup. We saw one of the units that we liked, and they explained that we could leave the snow shoveling, the lawn mowing, and the house painting, we could leave that all back with our old house. So we've been at Glacier Hills 3 years now. The last year's been a little tough because of the virus, and we were quarantined in our unit. We had a lot of time to spend with each other, and I think we really got to know each other. And our song during that time sort of asked the question, why don't you love me like you used to do? Why do you treat me like a worn out shoe? My hair's still curly and my eyes are still blue. Why don't you love me like you used to do? Ain't had no hugging or a squeezing or a teasing in a long, long while. You never get nearer now than a country mile. Why don't you say the things you used to say? Why do you treat me like a piece of hay? My hair's still curly, my eyes are still blue. Why don't you love me like you used to do?
Done.